Hi, John.
Do I have to pretend to be nice now after we just had a huge fight?
I am not in the habit of telling people how to behave. I trust you're an adult
No,
and you will behave.
far from an adult.
Okay. Well, man, boy, be yourself. I'm okay with that.
It reminds me, it's like a parent that they're driving in the car, and right before they get to the destination, the parent turns around, starts yelling and screaming at the kid, and then's like, okay, let's go in now. I just got a verbal tongue lashing, and now we appear on camera. Okay, let's just be normal. Okay, normal. Hi, everyone. Welcome back.
How can you say that? Segment.
Go ahead, segment what?
You are watching How Can You Say That? Segment 25. Are we living in a democracy or is it a facade? If we are, then what happened to freedom of speech?
Do you want to mention the title of the podcast?
Slavery was not abolished. It just changed its character. We lost our democracy a long time ago. Tonight's topic is mainstream media, news, or propaganda.
Oh, what a
You decide.
brilliant topic. Who came up with that one? That is fantastic.
Anything brilliant that's discussed here, it's John's idea. Because clearly I'm just an empty vessel occupying space on the set.
Not necessarily empty, but not necessarily full. But either way, welcome back, everyone. We're happy to be back and doing segment number 25. As just a reminder, if you like our podcast, you can go to Conversations with Jennylyn and look at all of our previous podcasts, or go to YouTube. Go How Can You Say That? And you'll find them all. We've covered a range of very interesting topics, and hopefully tonight, although I'm completely unprepared because once again, the topic was sprung on me last minute, we're going to try our best to keep you entertained and busy.
True.
It's true.
No, you've known that we were discussing this topic.
It changes every 10 minutes, okay? Every 10 minutes, it's something different. I never know what we're settling on. I have notes. The notes are in the garbage for you changing, you're back, you're forth. Okay, whatever. Here we are. Let's roll.
I have noticed, based on my experience and the experience of other podcasters that I follow, that whenever the narrative is different from what mainstream media is pushing, you are penalized and your material is pulled down. And I have been posting videos on YouTube for 12 years. And last week, got my hand slapped and got a yellow ticket.
You got bitch slapped, actually.
Because I exercised my democratic right, posted material that was not pornographic. Nobody was killing anybody, but the messaging was not consistent with mainstream media. And I am being told that I live in a democratic country and that I have freedom of speech.
No, you don't.
I am perplexed. That's why I suggested this topic tonight.
Well, you do have freedom of speech, but the media may just choose to not allow you to express it to the public. So technically it's freedom of speech, but on the other hand, it's not real freedom of speech, because freedom of speech is supposed to be, I can say things within reason that make sense, that are logical, and present my case and my argument. And you can air that, and they're perfectly capable of airing a rebuttal to that to say that what I'm saying is not true somehow. But you don't label something, specifically what they pulled down, which actually was all true. You don't label it misinformation if it's factual and correct. But we're past that now. Now we are going to talk about some other things tonight, which hopefully will not be pulled down, edited, messed with, and we will be allowed to express our honest opinions.
Confused. This is where I'm confused. What is, or what are the powers that run the world or this country? What is it they don't want us to know? Because if I and other content producers are posting material that they think is madness or misinformation or gaslighting or conspiracies, as these stories are often called. Why not just let us exercise our democratic right to post it out there and let people do what they will with it?
Are you really asking that question?
What democracy means?
Yes, but that's not what we live in right now. We don't live in an actual free, verbally free democracy, because when you're looking at mainstream media, whether it's the actual news or whether it's online, there is an agenda. Look, all news media outlets and media and internet outlets are all controlled by human beings. Okay, those human beings have perspectives, they have their own opinions, and they don't necessarily want to have things conflicting with their narrative, because that makes their messaging not come through as what they want. Now, take, for example...
No, I don't agree. I think it's a lot more sinister than
No, I wasn't done.
Okay.
But the point that I'm bringing out is that when you want a certain narrative to be taught to people, you don't want things conflicting with that. It's kind of like when you have a teacher comes into a classroom and they're teaching a course. They don't want another teacher sitting in and going, that's not true, that's not true, that's not true. They're trying to get to a point, and they're trying to come across
But we are not,
with a perspective.
we're not in a classroom. We are a country full of lots of people, different ethnicities, different education, different cultures, different belief structures.
But the government still...
So we elect the government that we elect is they make certain basic promises to us, and we're all being preached to every
They don't
day.
keep those promises, you know
And
that.
I cannot tell you how many politicians I hear using the word democratic. Does it have a different meaning in America? Because I have a British education, and I have noticed that some words have different meanings. Am I misunderstanding the meaning of that word?
Hello, North Korea, what do they call it? The DPRK, the Democratic People's Republic. North Korea is the most communist country in the world, and they refer to it as the Democratic whatever. So the word democratic is thrown around to make you believe something is democratic, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it actually is. Don't be fooled by a term like that. There's an agenda. Every government, in order to control the population, has an agenda. And that agenda, they want consistent messaging on. And if you're going to get in the way of that message, you're going to be censored, you're going to be killed, you're going to be pushed aside, you're going to be stuffed in a box. They don't want you to be part of that message if you're not on board. So don't you get that? You're in media. Don't you understand that?
So here's where I get confused. This country has tons of very educated people. Why is everyone sitting back and not calling a spade a spade? The first time I was blatantly struck by this is when I got my video pulled down, and I'm still perplexed because the person I interviewed, you listened to it, is a credible source of information.
Very credible.
So,
and very intelligent.
So why that video was pulled down? I am starting to feel there really is an agenda that some of us are oblivious to, and somehow I was getting in the way of it.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
How is your transition going?
Transition? What transition?
Because you have been transitioning from leftist to rightist and from liberal to conservative.
No.
Yes, you are. Everything you're saying tonight and everything as we progress through these podcasts, your entire existence is changing more to the perspective of the conservative point of view that is not necessarily following the government like a sheep, which is what most leftists do and what most liberals do. You're starting to open your eyes and see that a lot of the Democratic Party and a lot of the leftists, a lot of the liberals are actually evil people that do not love America. In fact, they actually hate America,
well, John,
and want to change the fabric of this country.
Okay, so you can make your own observations and tell me what I'm doing or what I'm not doing or what I believe and I don't believe. And I respect your opinion.
You think I've been transitioning from like male to female or something?
Can I please say right here now, I do not belong on the left. I do not belong on the right. I'm on the side of integrity.
Which is the right.
So if some of what I'm saying is in alignment with what's on the right, then great.
Everything you're saying is
on something.
Welcome to the right.
But can I just get back?
Welcome to the right.
Can Get away from
Welcome
me.
to the right.
You are so.
You don't want to admit to your San Francisco friends that you've transitioned.
I don't care what people think about me. I don't care what side people pick. Everybody has to be true to their own experience, their own journey, their own experiences, and what is true for you.
You know, there's a Trump bumper sticker on your car. Did you know that?
Anyway, I want to
I
stick
put it
to
there.
topic. He's not capable of doing that. And so one of the things I wanted to point out on this show tonight is what I have noticed is in America, the media, mainstream media, comes across like a bully. And so anybody who's trying to report any stories that are not consistent with what's being reported on the mainstream, their stuff is being blocked and it's given different labels. Three of the very popular ones that I'm sure lots of you have heard flying around is one, it's a conspiracy. Pull it down. It's misinformation. Pull it down. They're gaslighting you. Pull it down. But why not? Why not? If we're living in a democratic country, we're not coming around with a syringe and injecting it into anyone. We're just stating our feelings and reporting stories that we have researched that are credible, and they are being rejected. And I really have a knot in my stomach with this because it's beginning to open my eyes to the reality that we are preaching one thing and practicing something else.
That's exactly correct, which is exactly what we said before. We are not, the news media is not a true democracy. The news media has actually become a propaganda arm and or an advertise, almost like running an advertisement for a certain narrative. They are given information. They are told this is what you should report on. This is what you shouldn't report on. This is what you should cover. Because if you think about it, the media is the gatekeeper for what the American public sees and what they don't see. They literally have the ability to shape a perspective and to drill it into people's head what they should know and what they shouldn't know. So what you actually have is not, see, what is news? News is, wait, let me, before you cut me off so rudely, and then you're going to say, I learned it from watching news. Okay.
That I have become better at him at the lessons he taught me. What is that? The teacher can't handle when the student is better at what he was taught.
This is my time.
I don't care.
You should care.
You see how it feels?
This isn't the Jennylyn show.
Doesn't feel good,
Wait, what's
right,
this?
John?
Jennylyn show? What is this?
Yeah, okay, go ahead. Tell us what's news.
Well, now you made me lose my train of thought. Sound familiar? So anyway, so what I was saying, I think, before I was rudely interrupted and lost my train of thought, is that what is news? That's the question. News, as far as my interpretation, is what has happened, and I'm going to tell you about it. That's all the news is. There was an event, and I'm going to report on what occurred at that event. That's news. Once you start interjecting opinions and twisting what happened to fit a certain narrative or perspective, now you are no longer reporting news, you're reporting opinions. Once you start reporting opinions, you could then start gaslighting people into believing that what you're saying is the truth and anything else is different. And it's like, and then you actually become almost an advertising agency for a certain perspective. So the news media, excuse me, I'm trying to get over a little bit touch of cold. So that what we really run into is not receiving actual news of what transpired. And that's really the root of the problem and what we're talking about today. And the topic again was the media. What was it called? Media. What was the topic again? Media.
You gave the name.
You wrote it down.
You don't know the name of what you
read your wrote. Media.
News or propaganda.
News or propaganda. So we've determined that a good portion of the news in this country is actual propaganda and not really news.
Okay, so I did my research for news, and this is what I have written down for news. It's information about current events, which is what you said, provided through many different media. It could be word and mouth.
Different mediums, you mean?
Yes, it could be word of mouth. It could be printing, postal systems, broadcasting, electronic communication, testimony. It could be observers or witnesses to events. And over the years, we didn't have access to a lot of them. And I believe that situations we are aware of in today's world that we go, oh my God, can you believe this is happening? I think it happened before our parents. But because it wasn't easy to access information then, as it is today, a lot of things happened that we never found out about.
Of course.
And so hard news is what usually made the world news especially back in the
And
day.
soft news was like the filler stuff.
No, the soft news were like the things that happened, like a man fell down in the street, got a heart attack, and died.
Yeah, it's like the stuff to fill the space between the hard news, like just like local stuff and things like that.
Probably.
Is it? Because I just made that up.
Well, I think it's true. It's a good makeup.
No,
Once in a while, you do something good on the spur of the moment.
rarely. My parents don't think so.
So misinformation. I wanted to discuss the labels, as I call them, band-aids. John doesn't like the word band-aid, but I decided band-aid is a good name for it because it's what gets slapped on content that's been removed. Oh, we pulled it down. It's misinformation. You're not allowed to post misinformation. You're not allowed to gaslight. You're not allowed to spread conspiracies. So let's
But by the way, but they're telling you that without any evidence to prove that what you're saying is any of what you described.
Yes.
They're just making a judgment call by a human being that wants a certain perspective pushed and doesn't want the other side to be heard.
Exactly.
So it's more of a gauze pad than a Band-Aid.
And you know what's sad about it is you feel like this is not your platform, so you don't make the rules, but it starts to become blindingly obvious that we have no say in certain situations. And we either sit back and swallow the big pills that are being stuffed down our throat or turn the blind eye.
Who's that
And
guy?
this is what I believe has been the problem with everything that's going on is people are being forced to turn a blind eye to those things that they don't believe.
Who's the guy in the dark sunglasses watching us from over there? I think that's an FBI.
So misinformation. What is misinformation, John?
Well, you have a definition written down there, don't you?
No, but this is not. It's not a one.
Misinformation to me might.
Am I doing all the talking tonight? What happened?
You yelled at me. I'm afraid to talk now. I'm scared. I've never seen you get crazy like that. Actually, I have. Before almost every podcast.
He gives me.
Misinformation is exactly what it is. It is giving information to people that seemingly on the surface might make sense, but in actuality, the actual content is false.
Right.
But if you provide truthful information and it's labeled misinformation, that's where you have the problem. And that's really, the gist of the heart of the matter of what your video was being pulled down. But again, we're past that. Let's not be scarred by the video coming down. What we're really trying to get at.
Scarred?
No, you are. You can't get over it.
Because
we're done with that. No, what we're really trying to get at is talking about news media and why it has skewed from its original purpose of actually being news reporting on events.
I think so. Why do you think? What's your
corruption? Part of it.
Yeah. I put news in this country is like censorship on steroids. And that makes me sad, which brings me to the other part of this discussion.
Sad or angry? Why does it make you angry?
Holes in my heart, and I'm so on fire and angry. The way the news is being reported in Maui.
Oh, God. Here we go again. Third rail. You want to get this pulled down? No. Don't say the M word. Somewhere in Hawaii. Hawaii.
Can you
a part of Hawaii.
Can you believe this is America? This is America. This is 2023 in America. A part of our country is burned to the ground with the most unusual situations and circumstances. I've never seen so many coincidences in one event, but there was a lot. And a few people on the ground who have been reporting what's going on there have been going through, I've been following it. I think I must have watched every interview.
Why don't we take a field trip? You want to go? Do you want to go?
They're actually paying America. They're actually paying some of us to go because they're.
Let's do a podcast from there.
I pick my battles.
It's not a battle. Let's take a field trip and do an unseen podcast from Hawaii.
So gaslighting, Jonathan always goes off the rails.
That's off the rails. We get the studio to pay for that.
Man, boy, did you notice tonight I was calling you Jonathan? But you like the man boy label because that's
I've earned it.
I've
earned it.
Man boy.
I've earned.
Okay, so man boy.
We're
It
not-
would be nice if,
Yes.
as Americans, we are supposed to be one of the most powerful nations in the world.
We are,
At
for
one
now.
point, we used to be called a superpower. Now, if we are the superpower, then we are living in a democratic society.
Well, we are still a superpower.
That's facetiously.
We are still a superpower. I don't know how much longer that will last because countries like China are going to kick our ass.
I think they already are.
Well-
Do your homework.
I'm done with school. I'm not doing. You like my shirt, by the way? You see what it says?
Jonathan, I don't pay attention to your man boy clothes. I have
It
other
says
important
nuts
things.
bigger than yours. I love this shirt. So we are a superpower. We are still quasi leading the world, but it's slowly slipping away. And I think when you have the kinds of problems that we have now and the media becomes the way it is, I think that actually weakens our country and weakens our grip on being able to formulate world politics and to try to have countries come over to our side versus going to sides that want to destroy us. That's really important when you look at the advancements. And by the way, we are responsible for the rise of China and for our enemies becoming super powerful.
They did all of our manufacturing for years. I
Well-
lived in the Silicon Valley. Everybody outsourced.
But even before
Into
that,
that.
no, even before that, if you go back to the 70s and the 80s, it was Japan. Everything was being outsourced to Japan. Wherever cheap labor is in the world is where we outsource products.
And guess what they did, those countries? They copied all of our technology,
course.
turned around and made more money on it.
That's
than we
exactly
did.
correct.
You know,
And by the way, they put all of our American industry out of business.
yeah.
So unfortunately, cheap labor has led to the destruction of homegrown industries. Have you seen a TV or an electronic appliance made in this country anymore? No. In the 30s, 40s, 50s, it was only made in America and it was quality. Then it was outsourced around the world for cheap labor. They copied it. They began their own companies. They produced it better than we did. They put our companies out of business. So that was Japan. It was moved to China. It's currently moving to India. It's moving to
Mexico.
Mexico. It's moving.
Taiwan. But the thing is,
Wait, the other one. Vietnam.
right,
That's a new one now. Indonesia. Or Pakistan. And the same thing will happen. So we're actually creating and building up our own enemies that will ultimately be out to destroy us.
China did. China took all the money they made from us, and then they came here and they started buying up America from us. I lived in the Silicon Valley, right in the middle of them coming and offering $10,000, $12,000 more on homes that were being sold.
It's not only homes, they buy companies,
And so you
technology companies.
back and wonder who's sailing this ship.
Do you know that
The ship.
in Israel, the Chinese were all over Israel's tech. Israel is known as like one of the major technology hubs and startup. They call it actually a startup nation. So many technology companies are started in Israel, like Waze, tons of companies. And the Chinese, who are very smart people, they came into Israel, started forming joint ventures, started buying Israeli technology companies. And before you knew it, the Americans turned around and said, "What the hell are you doing? You got to keep the Chinese out of here because they're going to acquire all of this up and coming new technology and they're going to kick our ass." So the Chinese, I give a lot of credit to the Chinese. They're smart, they're cunning, they're ruthless, they're intelligent, they know what they're doing. They have a business plan. It's essentially what it is a business plan to take over the world. I respect them for that, but it's our fault. We created the monster and now we can't stop it. And now they're going to do it with AI. They're going to eventually do it with space, with chips, with semiconductors, with everything. And we are no longer down the road. Are we going to be the world power and the world leader. It will absolutely be China, and they will be out to destroy us.
So we're almost out of time. And before we wrap this first half of the show tonight,
Are we doing 2 parts again?
I would like to say that kill me if you like, hate me if you like, do whatever you will. This is my show. This is where I share my opinions.
It's an hour show.
You don't.
It's an hour show.
It's our show.
It's really yours.
It's Man Boy and I. We own this show, and we reserve the right to express our opinions on this platform. And if you don't like it, just know we don't mean any disrespect. We're just sharing our views. You can agree or disagree, but I think that's what's lacking in this country and probably in the world, the inability of mankind to agree to disagree, to see another person's point of view and respect it. And my goal is to hopefully see more of it happening in this lifetime. But before we wrap, I think us, the people, are the ones being gaslit. Us, the people, are the ones being conspired against. And us, the people, are being fed misinformation. And I am not living in a democratic country.
Isn't it we the people, not us? We the people.
Us, the people, whatever. I say us. I mean we.
Was that the part that you had warned me in advance I'm not allowed to interrupt?
No, that's for the last half of the show.
Okay.
He got a strict warning. That
Another
he'd be
one.
Interrupted.
You know, you're worse than YouTube. You bitch stick me all day and all night and give me these warning letters that you're going to get rid of me. You're going to do it if I don't behave and cooperate. What is that?
Okay.
What made you the boss? That's what I want to know. I'm not even afraid of you. I'm not scared of you. Go ahead. Try to scare me. Go ahead. Ow!
Idiot.
You hit me.
How can I,
And the whole world just saw it.
how can I bitch stick you all day and night when I don't even see you all day? I only see you when I have a podcast.
Thank God for that.
Anyway.
Oh, by the way, before we wrap, I have to ask you a question.
Hurry.
This will be
There's 3 minutes.
today. I was eating lunch. I'm going to ask you this in front of everyone right now. Today, during at the studio, I was eating lunch, and you barged into my office, and you stared at my food like, "What's that? And why don't I have one of those?" What was with that? Why am I under some sort of obligation just because I bring in something for lunch that I have to get one for you too? What is that?
No, it was just my way of returning a long overdue favor. You see, Jonathan.
What?
You like to dish things that you can't handle when it's dished and stuck right back at you. And so today I thought I would give you a taste of barging in on your lunch and looking at it like, what are you eating? What's that?
Oh, no. That was, I want that, and why don't I have one? That's what that look was.
I just had my lunch.
You are such a liar.
Yep, I
So
just
you-
had my lunch.
Portuguese rice bowl is what I had.
So much for watching. How can you say that? Please remember, it's not our intention to offend anybody. We just are sharing our observations and our views. And I'm deeply saddened by what's happening in this beautiful country of ours. And thank you for watching us. You are watching How Can You Say That? The podcast and television show where we are raw and authentic. And we will be back soon.
And Jenny will apologize for being mean to me. I want an apology. Give me an apology.
Jonathan, go take a hike.
You knocked me off the chair. You hit me.